everybody. Hope you all are doing good. This is Priya Yadav, Digital English from Kendra Vidyalaya Lekhapani. So, students, today I'm going to cover a beautiful poem of Class 9, Chapter 2 from Unit 1 of Book Beehive. This is one of the famous poem by Robert Frost. And yes, the name of this beautiful poem is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. So before we went to the poem, let's know something about Robert Frost. Robert Frost was born on 26th March 1874 and died on 29th January 1963. He was an American poet who was much admired for his depictions of rural life of New England. He won 4 Pulitzer Prizes for his work. His famous works include Fire and Ice, Mending Wall, Bridges, Out, Nothing Gold Can Stay. His poem, The Road Not Taken, first published in 1916, shows Frost at his best as a pastoral who combines rustic simplicity with hidden, indirect, and clarity of style and language. So let me introduce you with this beautiful poem, The Road Not Taken. In the poem, The Road Not Taken, the road symbolizes our life. The poet says the path that we don't choose in our life is the road not taken. He describes his feelings about the choice that he had left in the past. The path which we have chosen decide our future, our destination. The important message that the poet wants to give is that the choice that we make has an impact on our future, and if we make a wrong choice, we regret it but cannot go back on it. So we must be wise while making choices. Okay, now I'm going to recite the first stanza of this poem. Two roads diverged in a yellowed, and sorry, I couldn't travel the both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. So, students, the theme which is hidden in the first stanza is choices and uncertainty. So, students, I would like to explain both of the theme choices. What we understood by the term choice. Choice is an act of choosing between two or more possibilities. When we have two options and we have to choose any one out of that two, that is called choice. And uncertainty means the state of being in doubt, means when we are in a fix, we cannot choose of our own, we are in great jerk. So with this, I have mentioned a very beautiful quotation by Brandon A. Trine. The quotation is: it is how we embrace the uncertainty in our lives that leads to the great transformation of our soul. The meaning of this quotation is life at any stage will throw myriad number of uncertainties at you, not just one at a time. Life is like a test that a man needs to pass by living his life without quitting. So, students, in the first stanza, it opens with a strong imagery because of the diction used to depict two physical roads separating from each other in a yellowed. So, students, I know a question is coming, maybe coming to your mind, that is, why yellowed? Why not any other color? So, students, because here yellow color is showcasing the colors of autumn. The colors of yellow color is also signified as the color of hope. Line 2 is hasty to display the theme of regret by revealing that the individual is sorry before he even decides which road to take. We basically find ourselves observing a very important moment where he has to make a decision that is evidently difficult for him. Lines 3 to 5 expresses that the individual is trying to see as far as he can down to each road. The first stanza also introduces the dilemma that every human faces, not once but multiple times in his or her life, the dilemma of choice. We, as people, go through many circumstances and experiences in our life, and one of them is choosing between two paths. We experience this literally in the roads we take and the routes we walk on a daily basis, and figuratively when we come to the points in our life we must make decisions for our next step based on the opportunities presented to us. And like the character in the road not taken, oftentimes we are disappointed that we cannot hold on to and experiences the consequences of every opportunity that is presented to us. In order to gain something in life, we must go, let others go. By having the character in the poem examine the road ahead of him, Frost is emphasizing that we all try to give best to guess what lays ahead for us in every opportunity that we are presented in an attempt to find some control and later comfort over our final decision. Now let's come to the second stanza. So I'm going to recite it. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. And the theme which is hidden in the second stanza is individualism. So student, now I will explain you the meaning of individualism. And the meaning is individual means the habit or principle of being independent and self-reliant. With this, I have mentioned a very beautiful quotation related to individualism by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the quotation is: to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. So let us go to the explanation part. In the second stanza, lines 6 through 8, the individual on the road not taken finally makes a decision and chooses a road that he thinks he believes is better because it looked like many people had walked on it before. However, in line 9 and 10, he is quick to add that the other road looked equally used in comparison to the one he chose. So it really wasn't as traveled as less traveled as he was telling himself. Students, please pay extra attention to this stanza because it clarifies the common misunderstanding that one road was less traveled than the other, since the character clearly states that both roads were really about the same. The diction in the stanza portrays the uncertainty of the character as he tries to justify to himself that his decision is the right one for him, and much like anyone else. He is clearly trying to realistically weigh the outcomes of both roads. The important idea to note in the stanza is that the character claimed the road he chose was better because it wanted wear. You will get a term in the second stanza that is wanted wear, which means it was tempting to the poet. He felt that the road he chose wanted to be walked on him. This underlines the nature of people in general, that we will always choose the path which seems attractive and is of interest to us, even if both paths have equal potential of getting us to wherever it is we are headed. No matter where we end up and how informed, tempting, and satisfying our choices were, we will always wonder that what ifs and what could have been of other opportunities that we left behind. Now, let's proceed to the third stanza. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how many leads on the way, I doubted if I shouted ever come back. Let us see the third theme hidden in the third stanza, and the theme is nonconformity. Now, let me explain the meaning of nonconformity. Nonconformity is the quality of living and thinking in a way that is different from the other people. Here I have mentioned one more beautiful quotation by Edward Abbey, and the quotation is: where all think alike, there is a little danger of innovation. It means it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Let's see the explanation part. In this third stanza, Robert Frost mentions in line 11 and 12 that in the moment, that is, individual was making his decision, both paths were nearly identical. No one had stepped through to disturb the leaves on both roads. Line 13 is an important point in the poem The Road Not Taken, as this is when the individual finalizes his decisions of leaving the other road for perhaps another time. Line 14 and 15 gives us a glimpse of his doubt as he honestly confesses to himself that it's highly unlikely he will come back to travel this road because he knows as he moves forward he will continue to find other path taking him further and further away from this point where he is standing at the moment. And students, if we will go more deeper to know the meaning of this stanza, then you will come to know that this stanza shows us that this character is truly being honest with himself as he makes the crucial decision of which road to take. His honesty is a reality check as well as a means of making a final decision. He noticed that both choices lay equally in front of him, and none of these choices have been trodden black. Sometimes in life, when we reach a fork, we are able to make quick decisions based on what we learned from other people's experiences. These experiences then leave mark in the choice that we have. This marks then form our bias towards or against that path. When we encounter choices in our lives, we find that the leaves are not trodden black by what we learned from the people around us. It becomes harder to make a decision between them, just like the situation of the character in The Road Not Taken. After making his decision, he exclaims that he will leave the first choice of for another day. And then he honestly tells himself that if we let this road go now, there is no coming back. There are many defining decisions in a person's life that shapes their future, and sometimes when we select an option in this moment, they change the course of our life, and there's no turning back. That is where the regret of not exploring our other option disturbs us. Now comes the fourth and the last stanza of the poem. I shall be telling with a sigh, somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Let us come to the explanation part, and again let's see what is the hidden theme of stanza 4. And the theme is making meaning. From the theme itself, it is very clear what is the meaning of making meaning, and it means the process of making or producing something. With this, I will read a very beautiful quotation by Plato. Man, a being in search of meaning. And I will now explain the meaning of this quotation. I would also like to mention that this quotation is very well explained by my own idol. That is, man, a being in search of meaning. Many a time, life seems too mystical and mysterious, uncertain and unpredictable. This fascinates him more to explore life and rediscover himself, and hence he lost himself in the toughest conditions. He fight against all odds, chooses paths or way which is untrodden, untested, full of stiff challenges, which eventually redesign his character and make him understand the meaning of his life and existence. So, in this last stanza, lines 16 and 17, the individually predicts that one day, far into the future, he knows he will tell the story of this decision that he is now making. Line 18 and 19 express that he intends to lie and claim to took the road that was less traveled. Finally, the last line expresses that the individual is also planning to claim that his choice to take this less traveled road made all the differences, in which he will be standing at the time. The last stanza really highlights the nature of our regrets. When it comes to tough decisions in our life, we always know that no matter what we finally choose, eventually we will regret not being able to try the possibility that was left uncharted by us. In the stanza, the character is already imagining the regret he will feel and decides that he will not be honest when he retells the story of his decision, as it will not validate his selection of the road if he so casts his regret by stating that an equal opportunity could have landed him somewhere in life. Hence, he decides that he will tell people he chose the road that was less traveled by, to come across as a person who took a chance and succeeded in life. In reality, the character is trying to convince himself that when he does character is trying to convince himself that when he does share his life experience and stories, he will lie. Life is all about path you do choose to walk through, not about the road not taken. So every poem has some deeper meaning in it, a message which it speaks by its word. So let us see the message that we got from the poem The Road Not Taken. Firstly, I would like to read out the quotation that I had jotted down, that is, one does not discover new lands without consenting to lose sight of the shore for a very long time, by Andre Gide. And the meaning of this quotation is to enjoy the essence of life, to feel the spirit of life, to live life to its optimum level. You need to start taking risks and involve yourself in those things you fear. Follow the challenging and uncomfortable path. There is every possibility that you will stub your toe when you walk and the road less traveled, but that is the only way you can get anywhere. Just like you can't discover new land unless you leave your home for a long period of time, similarly, unless you come out of your comfort zone, unless you shake off your cozy life for a long period of time, you won't taste the joy of life. You won't be able to mark your presence in life. With this, the poem The Road Not Taken also underlines the importance of making choices in our life and the way they affect us in future. Some may prove beneficial and some may not, but one cannot have two ways of life. The poem thus upholds the universal truth of that life is after all an exploration. The life is after all an exploration. So, students, correlate this message with your life, that in every step of your life, you will always get two roads. But with the help of your critical thinking skill, you should try to analyze its past, its present, and its future. And you have to select the right path, which will lead you to success. And trust me, students, your parents, teachers, and of course the Supreme Almighty plays an important role in everybody's life. If we commit something wrong, but they are the one who will always support you. With their guidance, you can't go back. Change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So that's all about the explanation part. Now let us see the literary device which is used in the poem. The first is metaphor. There are many metaphors in the poem, like road, fork in the road, and yellow oats. The road in the poem is the metaphor of life, while the fork on the road metaphorically represents the choices we make to determine the course of our life. Similarly, yellow oats are the metaphor of making decisions during the hard times of personal life. These metaphors used in this poem emphasize the importance of different decisions we make in our life. So, students, here I would like to clear about the term metaphor. Metaphor is the comparison of two unlike things with some common qualities. Comparison of two different things on the basis of some common characteristics. Then comes alliteration. Alliteration means repetitions of the initial sound of the word in a same line. For example, here you can see wanted were. Here the initial sound is wo. Wanted were. And one more thing, the primary role of alliteration in the poetry is that it adds music to poetry. It adds sweetness. It adds melodious to the poetry. Then comes personification. Personification means giving human traits or characteristics to an animal or to any non-living object. You can see the example on the screen. The fork in the wood refers to the life decision one has made to. Here, fork is given the human characteristics. With this, Robert Frost has also personified road in the third line of the second stanza. Here, it is stated because it was grassy and wanted wear, as if the road is human and that it wants to wear and tear. Then comes repetition. It is a literary device that repeats the same words or phrases a few times to make an idea clear and more memorable. It could be a word, it could be a phrase, or a full sentence, or a poetical line repeated to emphasize its significance in the entire text. Here in the poem, we got one example, that is somewhere ages and ages hence. Here we can say the word ages and ages is repeating again and again. Then comes simile. A simile is a device used to compare things with familiar things to let the reader know it easily. It is also used for comparison of two unlike things on the basis of some common characteristics. This is similar to metaphor. But in metaphor, we don't use word like, as, like to compare. The only difference between metaphor and simile is in simile, we use the term as or like to compare. There is one simile used in the second stanza, such as just as fair. It shows how the poet has linked the road less taken to the easy way through life. At last comes imagery. Imagery is used to make readers feel things through five senses. The poet has used the images of the sense sights such as leaves, yellows, and these images help readers to actually perceive things they are reading. The image of the road helps the readers to visualize the road, providing a navigation route to the traveler. So at last, students, I have a beautiful quotation for my lovable students. So students, you will learn as you get older that rules are made to be broken. Be bold enough to live life on your terms and never ever apologize for it. Go against the grain. Refuse to conform. Take the road less traveled instead of well-beaten path. Laugh in the face of adversity and leap before you look. Dance as though everybody is watching. March, do to the beat of your own drama and stubbornly refuse to fit in. With this, I am giving full stop to my words. Thank you and have a nice day. Now here it's your turn. I know you will find it boredom to do, but it's your duty. So here I have put few questions. I have given some questions that you need to complete it. The first question is, does the poem The Road Not Taken symbolize or reveal a meaning or aspect of freedom or responsibility? The next, what appeals to you in the poem? Question number 3. What do the two roads symbolize in the passage 1? What is the significance of choosing a road? Question number 4. How is the theme of the poem applicable to life? Making choices seems to be a part of everyone's life, yet they need to be made. Elaborate in relation to the poem The Road Not Taken. Question 5. Which road would you choose and why? Yes, this will include your own opinion because here the question is being asked to you. Which road would you choose and why?